Hey everyone, welcome to another deep dive.
Ooh, exciting.
This time we're looking at the Superior Hiking Trail, or SHT.
Nice.
And wow, you guys sent in so much good stuff. We've got a bunch of YouTube videos from people who have actually hiked the trail,
Yeah.
like Jeannie Marie and JT Minnesota.
The channel.
And then, of course, we've got the classics like the North Shore Visitor website and Liz Thomas's backpacking guide.
A must read.
Oh, and even the Wikipedia entry. So I think we've got all our bases covered for this deep dive.
It seems like it.
So have you ever thought about hiking the SHG?
I mean, after seeing these sources, how could you not?
Right. So maybe you're thinking, yeah, this sounds awesome. I want to hike it, but I don't even know where to start.
Well, luckily for you, that's what we're here for.
Exactly.
Look into.
Let's dive in. First of all, what is this trail?
Yeah, what is the SHT?
Fill us in.
Okay, so I'm looking at the Wikipedia entry here,
Okay.
and it says that it's a 310-mile
Whoa.
hiking-only trail in northeastern Minnesota, and it follows the ridge lines overlooking Lake Superior.
Beautiful views.
So we're talking like serious views.
Oh, yeah. And it goes through all these different forests and the Sawtooth Mountains, waterfalls, streams.
Wow, that's a lot.
It's a lot. Explore Minnesota actually says that it has a moderate difficulty rating,
Okay,
which I thought was interesting
interesting.
because it ranges in elevation from like 602 feet to almost like 1,900 feet.
Whoa, so it's not like a walk in the park.
No, definitely not.
Okay, so moderate difficulty but high reward, I'm guessing,
So, yeah.
with all those views.
Yeah, Explore Minnesota has all these beautiful pictures.
Oh, I bet.
And they have this one that's just like birch and aspen forests.
Ooh.
And then Lake Superior just like peeking through the trees.
Oh, stop.
And I think there's over 90 backcountry campsites.
So you'd really spent some serious time out there.
Oh, for sure.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, you know what I'm curious about, though?
What's that?
What's it actually like to hike it? Like, put me on the trail.
Okay. So you sent in Jeannie Marie's YouTube video,
Yes.
and she hikes this Bean and Bear Lake loop.
Yeah.
What did you think about that video?
You know, it seemed like a really good kind of like taste of what the trail has to offer.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool that she was talking about the mud.
Oh, yeah. The mud.
Like, she seemed so prepared for it. She was
Really?
like, I've heard from other hikers that it's like
Yeah.
really muddy.
Yeah.
Thankfully, on her hike, it wasn't too bad. But I feel like that's something you have to be prepared for on this trail.
Yeah, it's like come prepared for anything, basically.
Yeah.
But even if it's muddy, she gets to the like amazing view
Oh, yeah.
at Bean and Bear Lakes.
It's iconic.
Right. I think it's like the photo you have to get.
You have to get that shot.
If you're hiking the SHT,
Yes.
she even said she wants to go back in the fall for the foliage.
Who wouldn't?
Right. So, okay, let's say you're convinced
Your soul.
you want to hike this thing.
Okay.
What are some things you need to be thinking about?
Logistically.
Yeah, like you're planning your trip, you know. What do you got to think about?
I mean, first of all, the North Shore Visitor website, they have a lot of information about transportation,
Okay.
which I think is key because, you know, you're going to be in the wilderness.
Yeah.
How are you going to get to the different trailheads?
Right, right.
You talk about shuttle services, which I think is a good idea.
That's super helpful.
It is.
Especially if you're not from the area, you don't know
Exactly.
where to go, how to get there.
Yeah, and the trail's really well maintained. That's something I learned from Explore Minnesota.
Okay.
It's maintained by the Superior Hiking Trail Association, and a lot of it is volunteers.
Oh, wow. So it's like a community effort
It is.
to keep this trail going.
It is, which is really cool.
That is really cool. Now, you also sent in the Superior Hiking Trail Backpacking Guide by Liz Thomas.
Yes.
And this one seems perfect for those who are like, okay, I'm not just going to hike a section.
Yeah.
I'm going to do the whole thing.
The whole 310 miles.
The whole thing.
Through hike.
What did you think about
Yeah.
what she had to say?
I thought it was really cool how she laid out, like, all the highs and the challenges of through hiking.
Right.
You know? Like, she didn't sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
She's like, here's what's awesome. Here's what's going to be really hard.
Okay, so let's start with the awesome.
Okay, the awesome.
What does she have to say?
Okay, so she talks about those amazing fall colors that we talked about before.
Yeah.
And then all the waterfalls that you get to see.
Oh, I bet.
And then the fact you're walking along Lake Superior.
Yeah, how many trails can say that?
Exactly. Like, how unique is that? And she also mentioned this sense of community, like among all the hikers.
Oh, yeah?
She was talking about how, like, at the campsites, everyone's really friendly and helpful, and
I love that.
it's like its own little community.
Yeah, there's just something about hiking that just,
It brings people together.
it really does.
And she even mentioned, like, there's a fall booyah festival at a resupply point.
Wait, what's a booyah festival?
I don't know. We have to look that up.
Okay, so we got to find out what that is, but it sounds amazing.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so that's the highs.
Yeah.
What about the not so highs?
Okay, well, so she's like, be prepared for ticks, mosquitoes,
Oh.
that mud that we talked about.
Yeah.
And she said that there are like limited camping options near Duluth,
Oh.
which I thought was interesting.
That could be a problem.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
also like if you need to like, get a motel or something
Yeah.
during peak season, it can get kind of pricey.
Okay, so it's not all,
Sunshine and
the
roses.
sunshine and roses, exactly. So it's
Mhm.
good to be prepared and know what you're getting into.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. But Liz's guide also has like all these really vivid descriptions
Yeah.
of different parts of the trail.
She does.
What were some of the highlights for you?
Okay, so I really liked when she was talking about the section from Grand Marais to Lutzen.
Okay.
She was saying how it has like a higher elevation and you get to see those early fall colors.
Nice.
And she talked about walking across all these bog bridges.
Oh, interesting.
Have you ever hiked on a bog bridge?
I have not.
Okay, well,
I'm intrigued.
they sound really cool.
Yeah. Okay.
What about you? What else stood out?
Okay, well, she talked about this ford in Tetegouche State Park.
Yeah.
And apparently it's like a real challenge to get across, but then you're rewarded with the drain pipe,
The drain pipe.
which she said used to be this like really difficult rock chute.
Oh, no.
But now they have stairs, so
Oh, thank goodness.
I'm sure the hikers are grateful for that.
I bet.
And then, of course, she talked about, Bean and Bear Lake
Yeah.
and that iconic view. And she said it's unlike anything on the SHT. She said it almost feels like you're in Colorado,
Wow.
which is pretty cool. And then I was really surprised by what she said about the Duluth section,
Oh, yeah.
because I thought it would just be like city. But she talked about how there are these like secluded forested trails.
Oh, wow.
And you even like pass through historic Old Town.
That's really cool. I didn't know that.
It's really cool.
Practical.
Okay, but let's talk about something a little more practical.
Okay.
Navigation.
Yes. You got to know where you're going.
Exactly. So we mentioned how you need to do your planning.
Yeah.
And luckily, the SHT is really well marked.
It is.
They have these blue blazes,
Yes.
but all of the sources were very insistent that you...
Maps in a guidebook.
Maps in a guidebook, you gotta have them.
You got to have them.
No matter what.
Allison Young, in her blog post, she even suggests like having your maps on your phone
Oh, yeah.
on a GPS app
That's smart.
because cell service can be spotty.
Yeah, that's good advice.
Yeah.
Because you never know.
Exactly.
And speaking of like things that could happen,
Yes.
I was watching JT Minnesota's video
Oh, yeah.
and he like loses the rubber tip off of his hiking pole
Oh, no.
in the mud.
In the mud.
And I was thinking, oh my gosh. Yeah. This is why Liz is emphasizing sturdy footwear.
Yeah.
For this trail, like you need boots
Yes.
that can handle it.
Especially with all those rocks.
All those rocks
Yeah.
and mud.
And she also recommends a water filter.
Okay.
Did you know that the water is safe to drink?
Oh.
But it's brown
Oh.
from tannins.
Oh.
So they call it root beer float water.
Whoa.
That's a detail you wouldn't know.
I would not have known that.
Unless someone told you.
That is good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we move on, we need to talk about something really important,
Yes.
and that's responsible hiking
Yes.
and leave no trace.
Leave no trace. Super important.
These were mentioned in a lot of the sources.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think, especially on the SHT, because it crosses private lands.
Oh, okay.
So Liz makes it really clear in her book, like, you can only camp at designated campsites.
Right.
And I think that's really important.
Yeah.
It's just like maintaining good relationships with the landowners.
Right. So it's not just about like the environment.
Yeah.
It's about like respecting the community.
Exactly. Being a responsible guest
Right.
on their land.
Okay. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling pretty inspired.
Me too.
Are you ready to dive a little deeper into what makes this trail so special?
Let's go.
Okay, let's do it.
All right.
It's amazing to me,
It is.
like, how all these sources are showing that the SHT is, like,
More than just a hike.
yeah, more than just a challenging hike. Like, it seems like you're really immersed.
In the culture, too.
Yes, in the
Right.
culture and the natural beauty of the North Shore.
Yeah, like Liz's descriptions of these trail towns.
Oh, yeah.
Like the art scene in Grand Marais.
Oh, yeah, shit.
And like a hiker-friendly vibe
Yeah.
at Castle Danger Brewing and Two Harbors.
I love Castle Danger.
It's like, it adds a whole other dimension.
It does.
to like the whole
Yeah,
experience.
you realize that if you through hike this thing, it's not just like you versus the trail. It's like
You're part of this whole like community and
community and region, culture.
exactly.
It's so cool.
And remember that anecdote
Which one?
that Liz shares about getting extra food from other hikers at campsites?
Oh, yeah. I love that.
That's like peak SHT.
Yeah, that's what I love about hiking. It's like...
You never know who you're going to meet.
Exactly.
And how people are going to help you out, yeah.
I love that. Okay, so let's think about the logistics. Like, if you're through hiking this thing, resupply points, that's going to be key.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where are you going to get more food and supplies?
Yeah, so Liz actually lists a bunch of towns along the trail where you can resupply.
Okay, hit me.
Okay, so there's Hovland, Grand Marais, Lutzen, Tough Day, Schroeder, Finland, Silver Bay.
Wow, there's a lot.
Beaver Bay, Castle Danger, and Two Harbors.
That's way more than I thought.
Yeah, and I feel like each town probably has its own little...
vibe.
Exactly.
Like that adds to the whole cultural experience.
It does. Okay, but I also wanted to bring up something that Allison Young mentions in her blog post. Blissful Hiker. And she talks about the accessibility of like the first 50-mile section of the trail.
From where to where?
So from the Minnesota-Wisconsin border to Duluth. And she makes a really good point that there's only like one official campsite.
Oh, wow.
In that whole stretch.
So if you're not into like the commercial campgrounds.
Or motels.
That's a problem.
It is. So that's something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
When you're planning.
Like maybe you start somewhere else.
Yeah, like Carolyn from Into the Wide Open, her blog post. She actually started her through hike. At the Martin Road Trailhead in Duluth.
So there's options.
There are options.
You just got to figure out
what works for you.
Yeah, what works for you and your style and how much comfort you need.
Exactly.
But what I think is so cool is like all these sources, they all talk about like the rugged beauty.
The rugged beauty
of this trail.
It's like this.
Like the mud and the bugs.
The mud and the bugs, all the planning.
Yeah, and then
the views.
The views. And the landscapes and the chance to see some wildlife.
It's like that balance.
Yeah, it's all about balance.
You get the reward if you put in the work.
Exactly.
And speaking of putting in the work.
Oh, yeah.
Liz and JT Minnesota, they really stressed.
The footwear.
The footwear.
Again.
It's so important.
Rocky terrain, mud, stream crossings. You need the right shoes. Liz even goes so far as to recommend quick-drying, non-waterproof boots.
Really?
Yeah, she says that waterproof ones, they're not actually going to keep your feet dry.
Oh, interesting.
In those constantly damp conditions.
Okay, that's a good tip.
Yeah.
I would not have thought of that.
So you got to be prepared for everything.
Everything. And she's very specific.
Oh, yeah.
About her gear. Oh, yeah. She's got her tent, her backpack, her sleeping bag, her alcohol stove. Which she says performs well in colder temperatures.
So she's thought of everything.
She's got you covered.
She's got you covered.
Yeah.
But then she also brings up like the maps and the guidebooks.
Yeah.
Even if you have your GPS.
You need them.
Because she says that the maps don't always include like the distances.
Between landmarks and campsites.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is important.
Important for planning.
It is.
And don't forget, Allison recommends that communication device for emergencies.
Yeah. Something like a Garmin InReach Mini.
That's a good one.
Because cell service, not reliable.
Not reliable. So
Ever safe than sorry.
Safety first.
Yes.
And we also got to remember, like, respect those private landowners.
Yes.
Camp only at the designated campsites.
Yes. She even mentions how sections of the trail have been closed in the past.
Oh, wow.
Because people weren't following the rules.
That's a bummer.
And then they had to do costly reroutes.
Yeah.
So it's really important.
It's like it affects everyone.
It does if you're not...
If you're not following the rules.
Yeah.
And Liz reminds us, it's bear country.
Oh,
so you got to have a bear canister.
A bear canister or a bear bag?
Yeah, for your food.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's good to know.
It is.
You know, we've talked about bears a few times.
We have.
But Allison brings up a good point.
Okay.
That encounters are actually
pretty rare.
Rare, and that most hikers
practice leave no trace.
They're doing the right thing.
Which helps to minimize any potential conflicts.
Yeah.
It's all connected.
Yeah, it really is.
Oh, and speaking of leave no trace.
Yeah.
Allison, big fan of Keltapole maps on Gaia.
Okay.
Because she finds the SHT maps to be a bit wonky.
Interesting.
So it's all about finding the tools
that work for you.
Yeah.
And cell service.
Spotty. So have that GPS.
Reliable.
And maybe a backup.
Okay, good advice.
Liz also talks about transportation.
Oh, yeah, how to get to the trail.
Yeah, so she mentioned shuttle services.
Yep.
Like Superior Hiking Shuttle and Harriet Quarles Trans.
Those are great options.
They are, especially if you're not driving yourself.
Right.
She also mentions the Arrowhead Transit buses.
Okay.
If you want something a little more affordable.
A little cheaper.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah, and don't forget the Trail Angels.
Trail Angels, yes.
Liz talks about how there's this active group.
On the Facebook page.
On the Superior Hiking Trail Facebook page.
Yeah.
And they offer rides to hikers.
That is so cool.
It is. It's amazing how the hiking community
comes together.
Yeah.
I love that.
Okay.
Before we wrap this up,
yeah,
I think we need to acknowledge something.
What's that?
That I feel like gets missed.
Okay.
When we're talking about trails like this.
Okay.
We talk about the practicalities, the gear,
the logistics,
the
challenges.
But what about like the emotional and psychological aspects?
Yeah, we haven't really talked about that.
We haven't. We've been so focused on like the what and the how. But what about the why?
Yeah, like what is it about this trail?
Why do people
that draws people in?
Yeah, like it's more than just checking it off your list.
Exactly.
It's like that transformative power
of nature
and like feeling that sense of accomplishment.
Yeah.
And connecting with the wilderness
on a deeper
level. Yeah. Yeah, it makes you think about it as like not just this physical path, but like a journey inward.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like you're finding this rhythm.
Yeah.
Between like your footsteps and your heartbeat.
I love that.
And like you're noticing these subtle changes in the landscape.
Yeah.
And you're feeling the wind and the sun on your skin.
And you're having those moments of like quiet contemplation, you know, surrounded by all this beauty.
It's like you're really present in the moment.
And then you're like, at night, you're around the campfire.
Yeah, with your fellow hikers.
Yeah.
Sharing stories.
Yeah.
It's more than just a hike.
It really is. It's an experience.
It is.
And it's those experiences that you like remember.
Yeah, stay with you.
Yeah.
Long after you've left the trail.
Exactly. And let's not forget that like sense of empowerment you feel when you
finish.
Whether it's, you know, a day hike
or the whole thing.
Sabine and Bear Lake or the whole 310 miles. It's just like you did it. You know?
It's like pushing your boundaries, proving to yourself that you can
that you're capable of more than you thought.
Yeah, you're stronger than you think.
Way stronger.
Yeah.
And it's about like embracing those unexpected moments.
Yeah, the mud, the
bugs, the weather, and just like turning them into opportunities
to grow.
Yeah. To look, because sometimes those are the moments where you
learn the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like nature has so many lessons to teach us.
It does, if you're open to it.
You're open to it, yeah.
About ourselves.
Yeah.
About like our place in the world.
And the importance of like
preserving these wild spaces.
Yes. Protecting them.
For future generations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So as we're kind of wrapping up this deep dive.
Yeah.
What resonates with you the most?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Like, what is it about this trail?
I think for me,
yeah,
it's that connection with nature.
Yeah.
And that sense of accomplishment.
Yeah.
You know, like, I can do hard things.
I can do hard things, yes.
Yeah, and Del Aire, I think this trail is a good reminder of that.
It is a good reminder, so it doesn't have to be a through hike.
No. Could just be a day hike.
To get that feeling.
To get that taste.
Yeah, of what this trail has to offer.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean?
Okay.
What have we learned?
What have we learned? I think the Superior Hiking Trail, it's more than just a trail.
It's a journey.
It's a journey, yeah.
A journey of self-discovery.
Self-discovery, resilience.
But a celebration of nature.
Yes.
Okay, so imagine this. Okay. You're standing...
at the edge of Bear Lake.
At the edge of Bear Lake, you're surrounded by those fall colors.
Oh, yeah.
You can feel that crisp air.
Yeah.
And you just feel this like overwhelming sense of accomplishment.
You did it.
You did it.
What does that feel like?
Hold on to that feeling.
Keep exploring.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe we'll see you out there.
Maybe we'll see you on the trail.
Happy hiking.
Happy hiking.